In today's sewing tutorial, we'll be learning how to cut and sew halter neck flared dress with runched side gathers. So this outfit can actually be worn for a casuals or you can wear it to the office. So if you're viewing this channel for the first time, you're welcome. This channel here is providing with a lot of tutorial videos on different kind of outfits. So if this is something that you want to watch, you find interesting and you wish to sew the style, please do engage in this video and let's get started. So to begin now, I'll be working with 2 yards of satin fabric. Some people also call it Duchess material. Okay, so I'll be opening up my fabric, and then next I'll go ahead to do is to fold it 4 times. So this is actually the first folding. You can see that I gave it the first folding. After that, I'm going to fold it again because I'm going to be cutting both the front and the back together. You can see I didn't create a space for zipper allowance. The zip is going to be at the side. Then next, I will determine my starting line, which is also known as the shoulder line. Okay, after that, I'll go ahead and determine my chest line, which is 8 inches. And to get your chest line is actually your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Then next I'll go ahead to mark my bust points, which is 10 inches. Now alternatively, you can get your chest line by going 2 inches above your bust point, okay? In case you're not good or familiar with calculating the other way around, okay? So next I will do is to determine the length of this dress, and this is actually a kind of long top, so I'm just going to be working with the full length of this material that I have here. Okay, then next I'll go ahead to do right away is to actually determine my horizontal measurement, and I'm going to start from my starting line, which is the shoulder line. Okay, so I'm going to take my shoulder line, which is actually 16 divided by 2, that's 8. I'll replicate that line on the chest line. So once I mark 8 inches, I'll go ahead and connect it. Okay, so after connecting it now, next I'll go ahead to do is to actually determine my bust circumference. So my bust divided by 4, I'm going to mark that there, which is 9.5. So once I mark that, I'm going to be adding an allowance of what, 1.5 inches. Okay, so after doing that, I'll replicate this measurement on my chest line and connect them together. So determine the how wide I want this dress to be. I don't need a waist because this is going to be like an A-line dress. Okay, so I don't need a waist measurement, I don't need a hip measurement. What I will just do is to connect that point down to the full length of the dress with my ruler. So that's basically what I'm going to do now. So after connecting it, the next I'm going to go over to do is to determine my armhole. Okay, but first, before determining my armhole, I will proceed to getting my neck depth, the neck I'm going to be using. Okay, so for the neck width, I'm going to be going with 3 inches. Okay, and then the neck depth I'll be working with also 3 inches. This is so that I can just get my armhole. I'm actually doing this, so I'll go ahead and connect that with a curved line. Okay, and then next I'll go ahead to determine my shoulder slope by going down 1 inch here and then connecting it together. So now to determine my armhole, I'll go ahead and measure these 2 points to get the midpoint of it, and once I get it, which is 3.5 there, I'm going to mark that there. And then from these very points here, which is I'm going to create a curve to meet to that point. So just look at the way I'm doing it. I'm going to go in by ½ inch and then connect it to the end of this. So this is more or less like drafting a basic body that we all know. Okay, but the reason I'm doing this is for you to explain it to you very well, so that you can actually understand how we go about my words halter neck. So if you remember earlier that I folded this dress into 4 parts because I'm going to be cutting both the front and the back together. So this dress actually does not need zip. That is why you're not seeing any form of zipper allowance here. I'm going to be cutting the front and the back. So just know that there is nothing like zip in this dress, okay? Because it's already an A-shaped dress, which will give you easy access to wear your dress. So you don't necessarily need zip. So now to cut the halter neck, from this point, I'm going to go down by 1 inch, okay? So after doing that, I'll connect it to my armhole to create my halter neck. This is just simple. You can see the halter effect is already coming out. So this is practically the simplest way to go about your halter neck in whatever pattern you want to do. So I'll go ahead and be cutting out what I'm going to be needing for this tutorial. So basically this is what we have. As you can see, I've opened it up. This is actually the front and the back. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and label it the front and then also the back. Okay, So I'm going to keep the front aside to work with the back because I want to create a slanted opening for where my head can actually pass through. So from this point here, I'm going to come down by 3 inches. So I'm just going to mark that there. And then for the width, I will open it by 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to mark 1/2 inch there and connect it in a slanted pattern to meet at that point there. So I'll go ahead and cut that part. This thing I'm actually doing here is to create an opening because by the time you create your collar, be it a rope collar or a bishop collar for your halter neck, you need access to put your head, right? So this is why I'm actually creating that slanted part so that my head can actually penetrate in. So I'll go ahead now and cut this open, okay? And after doing that, this is basically what we are going to have. So next step I'll go ahead to do is to actually use a facing to actually turn up this slanted area that I actually cut out, and also I'm going to use bias to turn my armhole effect, and also for the down I'm going to hem it. So this is what it looks like after doing that. As you can see, it's coming out so neat and beautiful. I equally went ahead to do that for the front, as you can see, for both sides. So this is basically what we have, and here is the hem part of the down part of the dress, okay? So next I'm going to go over to do is to join the sides together. So I'm going to place 2 of them together, making sure that right sides are facing each other. And remember, when we were taking our measurements, we left 1.5 inch sewing allowance for joining, okay? So I'm just going to stitch that down. But before that, I want us to actually put our collar, okay? So if you are going to use a bishop collar or a rope collar, whichever one you want to use can actually work with it, okay? But I would like to use a rope collar to make it fashionable. So here I've already gone ahead to cut out a long strap, which is as long as possible with a width of 2 inches, okay? So what I'm going to just do is to open it up first, and I'm going to find the midpoint of this strap. So once I find the midpoint, I'm just going to mark that down, okay? And then I'll equally go ahead and get the midpoint of the front part of my dress. So once I get the midpoint, I'll equally go ahead and mark that, okay? Then what I'm basically going to do next is to take this midpoint that I've already marked, allow the strap to be open this way, because ordinarily you're supposed to have it folded by the time you are done with the dress. And if you can see, I'm working with 2 inches. Actually 1.5 is what I need for my collar, so 1/2 inch making it 2 inches is what is going to be used for joining with the dress, okay? So I'm just going to open this up like I said earlier, and I'll go ahead and join this midpoint part together. I'll use my pen here to hold it down for easy stitching, okay? So just look at the way I'm actually putting it down so that it will actually stay together while sewing. So you carefully have to do that, and then you're going to then use this to turn it up with 1/2 inch, okay, to make the work look neat and cover any rough edges around there. So this is basically what you're supposed to have. By the time you are able to do everything neatly, you're supposed to have something like this for the front. So ordinarily I'm supposed to place the back of my dress on top like this, right? And normally I would have just started stitching it directly, but I'm not supposed to just stitch it continuously like that. If not, it's going to choke me at the neck while I'm wearing it, okay? So what I'm going to basically do is to go away by 3 inches from that front part. I'm just going to go away 3 inches. So once I mark that, that is where my back is going to start from. I'm going to place my back there. I'm not going to place it directly on the front part. I'm going to place it on these 3 inches that I've marked away from the front. I hope I explained this well. So after that, I will place it properly and use my pin to secure it down for easy stitching. So I'm supposed to have something like this by the time I use the other part to turn it up, okay? I'm supposed to have something like this. So I'll go ahead and place the other side of the back. Just remember what I told you, 3 inches away from the front part of the neck before I start placing my back, okay? So I'll go ahead, use pin to secure that before taking to the machine to sew. And then I'm going to use 1/2 inch to turn up and then stitch down at both sides. And I'm going to have a neat work by the time I'm done with it. So this is basically what we have here, okay? As you can see, I've gone ahead to stitch everything, and everything has come out so neat and beautiful, okay? And I equally went ahead to actually sew the sides of my dress. So this is basically what it looks like. You can see this is the front, and this is actually what the back looks like by the time you turn it around, okay? So next I'll go ahead and do is to insert my rope, because this is actually having a gathers by the side. So here I'm going to mark out where I want my rope to begin, okay? So remember that the armhole is 8 inches, and around my waistline, which is actually 18 inch, I'm just going to be marking that because that's where I want the rope to start from, okay? So I'll do that at the other side of the dress as well. So after doing this, I'll go ahead now and replicate this measurement at both sides. Make sure that everything is marked everywhere around my dress. So opening your dress up in this way, next you are going to do is to actually open it like this, so that when you are creating the channel and sewing, you don't sew on top of the other side. Okay, so now I'm going to take one side of my dress and stitch it down to create a channel down through. Don't stitch on this white part first, just stitch only the side down to that dress so that you can insert your rope inside, which I've already done. This is actually like half inch rope. You can see I've already made 4 straps already prepared and kept. So this we just the channel that you need them to actually enter. So I'll go ahead now and stitch this part down and stitch the other parts as well, and the remaining side of my dress. And this is basically what it looks like by the time you are done. You can see that once I insert my rope inside now, it will be able to come out. That's why I said you shouldn't stitch that white part, just the sides only. So I'm just going to insert this using my safety pin, and you will see that it will come out through that part that I've already marked with white inch. That's why I say you shouldn't stitch there, so that the rope can come out through the other side. Okay, so once I done that, I'll line it well so that it doesn't come out. Then I'll go ahead and put the other rope and stitch it down so that it doesn't come out again. So this is basically what it looks like after putting all your ropes. You can see now you're creating that gather, that crunched effect, and everything's coming out so beautiful. I could just tie it, and this is basically what the dress looks out. This is just a beautiful outcome of it. So if you enjoyed watching this video and you found it very helpful, please do subscribe, like, and share this video, and also share to friends who might be going to be interested in watching this video. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.